Hello. Okay, hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay, vocabulary review. Confiscate. 惩罚 confiscate 没收，对，没收 plunder 掠夺 plunder hypothetic assume impartial 公正的，这个是公正的，居然是公正的，这个怎么可能是公正的意思？奇怪。Impart abundant sophisticated 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 老油条 shabby sophisticated sophisticated shabby stands in the way of insidious 秘密的是吗？潜伏的阴险哦 insidious convulse and stagnated convulsed and stagnated 记不住不记 audacious power 野蛮的令人惊奇 audacious audacious 天哪 audacious subservience 这个得记住 subservience 记不住啊公顺天 subservience subservience endure outrage endure outrage endure outrage in endure endure 对 endure smug 这个字 smug 记住了这个能记住了别的记不住记住一个 okay today the printing press the printing press and inflation the printing press and inflation new 帮我翻译成中文。印钞机哦 ，printing press。天呐，天呐 ，printing press，Oh my god！Benjamin Franklin was an ardent proponent of fiat money during those years and used his great influence to sell the idea to the public. Proponent 支持者、倡导者，果然是 proponent ardent 虔诚的、积极的、热烈的 ardent proponent ardent proponent. During those years, I used his great influence to sell the idea to the public. We can get some ideas of the ferment of the times by nothing that in 1936, writing in his Franklin apologized for its irregular publication. Irregular, and explained that the printer was with the price, laboring for the public good to make money more plentiful. The printing of money was apparently a major time-consuming operation. 怎么读啊？啥意思嘞？Printer was with the price. Laboring for public goods to make money more plentiful. The printing of money was apparently a major time-consuming operation. 显然是一项耗时的重大操作。强调印钞的规模复杂性 was apparently a major 主要的重大的 time-consuming operation. In 1737, Massachusetts devalued its fine currency by 66%, offering $1 of new currency for 3 of the gold. The promise was made that after 5 years, the new money would be fully redeemed in silver or gold. The promise was not kept. By the late 1750s, Connecticut had print inflated by 800%. The Carolinas had inflated. Oh my God, Rhode Island. Oh my God. Naturally, this inflation all had come to an end, and when they did, they turned into equally massive deflation and depressions. It has been shown that even in colonial times, the classic booms and busts, which modern economists are fond of blaming on an unbridled free market, actually were direct manifestations of expansion and contraction of fiat money, which no longer was governed by the laws of supply and demand. By this time, coins had completely disappeared from the thing. Some were in private halls, but most of them had been exported to other countries, leaving the colonies with little choice but to use fiat money and barter. Merchants from abroad were interested in neither of those, however, and the international trade ground almost to a halt, a blessing in disguise. The experiment with fast money was calamity, calamity, calamity. Calamity, 灾难 to the colonists, but there was also a thorn in the side of Bank of England. The bank had used its influence with the crown to forbid the colonies to mint their own coins or to establish local banks. This means that if the colonists wanted the convenience of paper money, they would be forced to use the notes issued by the Bank of England. No one had anticipated that. Anticipate. The colonial government would be also inventively asked to create their own paper money. So in 1751, Great Britain began to prayer to the colonies to redeem all of their currency and withdraw it from circulation. Circulation. Huh? Circle. Circulation. This they eventually circulation. This they eventually did, and at a bargain price. By then, their fiat money was heavily discounted in the marketplace, and the governments were able to buy back their own currency for pennies and on dollar. The decree from the 条款是吧？decree 法令条款。The decree from the British Parliament 议会 although heavily resented by the colonists, turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The paper notes of the Bank of England never did become a primary media of exchange, probably because of their recent bad experience with paper money. The colonists merely brought what few gold or silver coins they had out of hiding and returned to a true commodity money system. At first, the doomsdayers predicted this would spell further ruining for the colonial economy. There isn't enough money was the all too familiar cry, but there was indeed quite enough for, as we have already seen, any amount is sufficient. Sufficient. Tobacco becomes money. Tobacco becomes money. There was in fact a period in which other commodity became accepted as a secondary media of exchange. Such items as nails, lumber, rice, whiskey filled the monetary void, but tobacco was the most common. Here was a commodity which was in great demand both within the colonies and for overseas commerce. It had intrinsic value. It could not be counterfeited. It could be divided into almost any denominational quantity. Denominational quantity 啊，教派 relating to the according to the principles of a particular religions, denominations, the normal nations, denominations quantity, and its supply could not be increased except by the exertion of labor. In other words, it was regulated by the law of supply and demand, which gave it great stability in value. In many ways, it was ideal and it was officially adopted as such by Virginia in 1672 and a few years later by Maryland, but it was used offshore in all the other colonies as well. Close was close was the identity of tobacco with money that the previous vice currency of New Jersey, not the tobacco growing state, displayed a picture of tobacco leaf on its face. It also carried the inscription to counterfeit its death. Tobacco was used in early America as a secondary medium of exchange for about 200 years, until the new constitution declared that money was henceforth the sole prerogative 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 uh, pre, 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 prerogative 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 of the federal government. The primary currency at that juncture juncture at that juncture at this juncture, however, was still gold and silver coins, or spices as it is called, and the immediate result of returning to a sound monetary unit was a rapid recovery from the economic stagnation, stagnated, 停滞不前。Previously inflicted 遭受 by booms and busts of fiat money, trade and production rose dramatically, and this in turn attracted an inflow of gold and silver coin from around the world, filling the void that had been created by years of worthless paper. The law of supply and demand was visibly at work. For a while, Massachusetts had returned to spices, while Rhode Island remained on fat money. The result was that Newport, which had been the trade center for the West Indies, lost its trade to Boston and became an empty port. After the colonies had returned to coin, prices quickly found their natural equilibrium and then stayed at the point, even during the Seven Years' War, and the disruption of trade that occurred immediately in the period of the Revolution. There is no better example of the fact that economic system in distress can and do recovery rapidly if government does not interfere, 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 interfere with the natural healing process. Natural healing process. War brings a return of finite money. The War of Independence brought all of this to a sudden halt. Wars are seldom seldom funded out of the existing treasury, nor are they even done so out of increased taxes. If governments were to levy taxes on their citizens full adequate to finance the conflict, the amount would be so great that many of even its most ardent supporters would lose in enthusiasm by artificially increasing the money supply. However, the real cost is hidden from view. It is still paid, of course, but through inflation, a process that few people understand. The American Revolution was no exception. In order to pay the bill for independence, both the Confederation and the individual states went heavily into the printing business. At the beginning of the war in 1775, the total money supply stood at 12 million. In June of that year, the Constitutional Congress issued another 2 million before the notes were even put into circulation. Another 1 million was authorized. By the end of the year, another 3 million. In 1776, another, oh my god, 19 million, 17 million, oh my god, oh my god, and still more. The continental army, continental issued its own certificates for the purchase of supplies totaling 200 million, a total of in 5 years on top of a base. And it kicks over, oh my god, and in addition to this massive expansion of the money supply on the part of the central government, it must be remembered that the states were doing exactly the same thing. It is estimated that in just 5 years from 1775 to the end of 1779, the total money supply expanded by, oh my god, by contrast, the amount raised in tax over the 5 period was inconsequentially amounting to only a few $1 million. And a massive inflation. The first acceleration effect of the flood of new money was the flash of apparent prosperity, but that was quickly followed by inflation as the self-destruct mechanism began to operate. In 1775, paper continental 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 cont, contin- con- continental continental， 注意在后边 continental were traded for $1 in gold in 1770. In 1777, they were exchanged for 25 cents. By 1779, just 4 years from their issue, they were worth less than a penny. The phrase "no worse continental" has its original in the decimal period. In this decimal period, shoes sold for a p. A suit of clothes cost a million. Oh my God, it was in that year that George Washington wrote, "A wagon load of money will scarcely purchase on a wagon load." C# previously. Even Benjamin Franklin began to see the light. In the mood of scare, and sarcasm. Sa- sarcasm. A note of sarcasm in someone's voice. This currency, as we manage it, is a wonderful machine. It performs its office when we issue it. It pays and clothes troops and provides vector and ammunition. And when we are obliged to issue a quantity excessive, it pays itself off by depreciation. As we manage it, it's a wonderful machine. It performs its office when we use it, when we issue it. It pays clothes and troops and provides victuals and ammunition. And we are obliged to issue the quantities excessive obli- obli- obliged 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 to be obliged to do something. Be obliged to do something. You are not obliged. They can not obliged you to answer. It pays itself by desperation. It pays itself by desperation.它通过贬值来自行消化啊，pays itself，这个翻译好啊，自行消化，哎呀，这个翻译好啊，depreciation pays itself，自行消化，自我调节，pays itself，performances office。Wonderful machine. Okay. When speaking of deficit spending, it is common to hear the complaint that we are saddling future generations with the bill for what we enjoy today. Why not let those in the future help pay for what will benefit them also? Don't be deceived. Deceived. Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. This is misconception encouraged by politicians to calm the public. When money is fined, as the colonists discovered, every government building public work and cannon of war is paid out of current labor and current wealth. These things must be built today with today's labor, and the man who performs that labor must also be paid today. It is true that interest payments fall partly to the future generations, but the initial cost is paid by those in the present. It is paid by the loss of value in the monetary unit and the loss of purchasing power for one's wage. Inflation is a hidden tax. Fiat money is the means by which governments obtain instant purchasing power without taxation, 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 by where does that purchasing power come from? Since fiat money has nothing of tangible value to offset it, governments find purchasing power can be obtained only by subtracting subtracting it from somewhere else. It's in fact collected from us, or through the decline in our purchasing power. It is therefore exactly the same as a tax, but one that is hidden from view, silenced in opposition, and little understood by taxpayer. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!法定货币是政府无需征税就能获得的即时购买力的手段。Fiat money is the means by which governments obtain instant purchasing power without taxation. But where does that purchasing power come from? Since fiat money has nothing of tangible value to offset it, governments find purchasing power can be obtained only by subtracting it from somewhere else. Instant transfer, tangible value, offset 支撑 offset 抵消补偿 subtracting 通过稀释现有货币价值从其他身份转移过来的这种机制，这位是高高老师，实际上是隐形实称。Governments find purchasing power can be obtained only by subtracting it from somewhere else. Nothing of tangible to offset it. In 1786, Thomas Jefferson provided a clear explanation of this process when he wrote everyone through whose hands a bill passed. Lost on that bill, what it lost in value during the time it was in his hand. This was a real tax on him, and in this way, the people of the United States actually contributed those millions of dollars during the war, and by a mode of taxation, the most oppressive, 残酷的 oppressive of all, because the most unique of all, unique of all, oh, as price skyrocketed. The colonies enterprise controls and legal tender laws. 价格管制 enterprise controls and legal tender laws 法偿货币法令价格管控和法定货币法案 price control 价格管控 legal laws 法定货币 enter 是引出主题，在本文中出台和实施 enter price controls and legal tenders. As prices skyrocket, the colonies enacted wage and price controls, which was like plugging up the whistle on a tea kettle in hopes of keeping the steam from escaping. When that failed, there followed a series of harsh legal tender laws. 残酷的、严格的、严厉的 harsh. One law even invoked their specter of treason. It said, if any person shall hereafter be so lost to all venture and regard for his country as to refuse to receive said bills in payment, he shall be deemed, published, and treated as an enemy in this country, and precluded from all trade or intercourse with the inhabitant of these colonies. Intercourse. 交流 intercourse. Not only levy a heavy fine for non-acceptance of its notes, but upon second offense, an individual was stripped of citizenship when a court declared the act unconstitutional. The legislature called the judges before it and summarily dismissed the offenders from office. 这是法案之台 公民身份。当法定裁定宪法时，认为违规者免职。Rhode Island not only need a heavy fine for non-acceptance of notes, 重罚 heavy fine for, but upon a second offense, 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 offense. An individual was stripped of citizenship. An individual was stripped of citizenship. Stripped of. When court declared the act unconstitutional. 当法院裁定法案违宪时，议会将法官召至面前，并立即将这些违规者免职。Leave the heavy fine. Note, second offense. Stripped of citizenship. Strip of citizenship. Strip of citizenship. Unconstitutional. Let's call the judge. Summary dismiss often. Summary dismiss. 即可 summarily. Summarily. 我的妈呀 Offenders. Enter economic chaos and insurrection 暴动叛乱 insurrection if the ravages of the war 毁坏 ravage of time ravage of war 战争的蹂躏 the ravages of war were harsh 沉重的严厉的严酷的恶劣的粗糙的 harsh burden for the colonies to bear the heavy havoc 大灾难 of fat money was equally so. After the war, inflation was followed by deflation as reality returned to the marketplace. Prices fell drastically, which was wonderful for those who were buying, but for the merchants who were selling, or the farmers who had borrowed heavily to acquire the property at inflated wartime prices, it was a disaster. The new lower prices were not adequate to sustain their fixed inflated mortgage, and many hardworking families were ruined by foreclosure. Furthermore, most people still did not understand the inflation process, and there were many who continued to advocate the paper money cure. Several of the states were receptive to the prayer, and their printing presses continued to roll. Historian Andrew McLaughlin recalls a typical scene in Rhode Island at that time, as witnessed by a visiting Frenchman, a French traveler, who passed through Newport. About this time gives a dismal picture of the place. Idle man, standing with folded arms at the corners of the streets. Houses fall into ruins, miserable shops offering for sale nothing but a few coarse stuffs. Grass growing in the streets, windows stuffed with rags, everywhere announcing misery. The triumph of paper money and the influence of bad government, the merchants had closed their stores rather than take payments in paper. Farmers from from neighboring states did not care to bring their produce. Idly, idleness, and economic depressions. Idleness,闲的 depression also led to outbursts of rebelling, rebellion, and insurrection. Rebellion, 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 and insurrection, insurrection, outbursts, economic depression. In 1786, George Washington wrote to James Warren, the wheels of government are clogged up. We are descending into a valley of confusion and darkness. 2 years later, in a letter to Henry Knox, he said, if any person had told me that there would have been such formidable rebellion as exists, I would have thought him a Balaamite. Balaamite. A fit subject for a madhouse. Fortunately, there is a happy ending to that part of the story, as we shall see in a subsequent chapter. When the state delegates attempted to draft the Constitution, the effects of fiat money were so fresh in their minds, they decided to put an end to it once and for all. Then the new republic not only rapidly recovered, but went on to become the economic envy of the world, for a while at least, until the lesson had been forgotten by following generations. But that is getting ahead of our story. That is getting ahead of our story for now. We are dealing with the topic of fiat money, and the experience of the American colonies is a classic example of what always happens when men succumb to its shedding core. Getting ahead of our story. Getting ahead. Get ahead. But that is getting ahead of our story. Now we are dealing with the topic of tea and money and experience of the American colonies. It's a classic example of what always happens when men serving corn siren, scum, suck, sucks, suck, succumb, succumb, to succumb to pressure, desire, succumb to a disease. When men succumb to its siren, siren core. Nature law number 3. Let us pause at this point and observe another of those lessons, the right from centuries of experience. That lesson is so clear and so universal and so widely seen throughout history that it may be stated as a natural law of human behavior. Lesson: fiat money is a paper money without precious metal pressures backing, and which people are required by law to accept. It allows politicians to increase spending without raising taxes. Fiat money is the cause of inflation, and the amount which people lose in purchasing power in is exactly the amount which was taken from them and transferred to the government by this process. Inflation, therefore, is a hidden tax. The tax is the most unfair to all because it falls most heavily on those who are least able to pay, the small wage earner and those on fixed incomes. It also punished the thrifty by eroding the value of their savings. This creates resentment among the people, leading always to political unrest and national disunity. Therefore, now, a nation that resorts to the use of fiat money has doomed itself to economic hardship and political disunity. OK， 这是174，看看 fractional money，哦，这是 fractional money，对不对？174，看看我们前面读的都啊，哦，我读了这么几页，这是167到174，都是7页，还行，行吧，还行吧。Don't be deceived, strip of 剥夺 citizenship. 我们 succumb to its siren call. Okay. I think that's all for today. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.